everyone, Lisa here, and in this video I'll be transforming this desk into a more vintage industrial looking desk. This will be for my son's room. If you haven't checked out my other desk makeover that I've done, you can find it in the link below, but I've two of these desks. One I've done already for my daughter, and this one now will be making over for my son. It's a nice sturdy desk and in quite good condition, and I'll be using a homemade chalk paint recipe to paint this desk and transform it into something a little bit more vintage and a little bit more industrial looking. So let's get started. First, we're going to remove all the drawers and take the desk apart. So I've removed the drawers and removed the top of the desk, and then I've just given the drawers a light sand. You don't need to when you're using chalk paint, but some of these drawers had a few scratches and dents on them, so I just gave them a light sand to get out any scuff marks. The sides of the desk I didn't bother doing because it wasn't necessary. Now for the paint. I'm using a homemade chalk paint recipe that I found off the internet, and I'm using 1/3 of a cup of plaster of Paris to 1/3 of a cup of water. Mix this together and then add this to 1 cup of paint. Now because I'm using 2 cups of paint, I doubled my recipe. This is the paint I'm using. It's just a wattle interior paint, and the color is middle of the night, and it's like a charcoal black color. So I'm adding 2 cups of this now to my plaster of Paris mix, and this will produce the chalk paint. Give it a good mix. And now just paint it straight onto the desk. And as I said before, I didn't sand the sides of the desk because they were in already good condition, so I just painted the chalk paint straight onto them. This is after the first coat, still a bit streaky. And this is after the second coat. This is still wet at this stage, but it's starting to cover it up. I think in all I did 3 coats of the chalk paint, and I didn't sand in between coats. It wasn't necessary. These are all the drawers now painted. Now we're going to distress the edges of the drawers. So I'm just using some sandpaper on a block and just slowly start to distress the edges of the drawers so that the color of the original desk starts to show through, so that reddish brown color that used to be. After I've distressed all the pieces that need distressing, I am finishing the paint off with Rust-Oleum furniture finishing wax. This helps protect the paint and will help smooth out the finish of your piece as well. This is a very important step, so don't skip it. This is now the desk with the furniture wax rubbed in and all the distressing around. And now moving on to the insert. For the insert, that's the vinyl piece that was in the middle of the desk on the top. I'm just removing that vinyl piece now, just using a screwdriver and pulling up those staples. What I did here is I just used a small screwdriver to lift the staples up a little bit, and then I use a pair of pliers to pull the staples straight out. I found this method was less damaging to the actual MDF board, so I just removed all the staples and the screws. Once all they've removed, I gave the board a light sand just to smooth out those bumps and the holes that the staples and screws had created. And now I'm going to be sticking on this antique looking map. These maps, I actually bought 2 of these because although they were the correct width, it was too short, so I was planning to use one map right in the middle and then the other map to join the 2 sides. Now what I've done here is I've cut the map into 6 smaller pieces. I found that this is a lot easier to work with when sticking on smaller pieces than trying to stick on the whole map. So what I'm doing here is I'm marking out the middle piece where the middle piece is going to go, and I'll be working from the middle outwards. So I stick my middle lower piece on first, and I stick it on with a mix of PVA glue or regular craft glue mixed with a little bit of water just to make it a little bit runnier in consistency. You don't want it thick and gluggy, you want it fairly runny so that it goes on your mat or your pieces of paper quite smoothly. So just mix in enough water just to create like a runny consistency like this one. So what you want to do is coat your first piece in a good even layer and smooth layer of the PVA glue mix, making sure that you get right to all the edges and making sure that the whole piece is covered. What I've done here is I've laid it down gently first, put it into the position at the bottom, and using just some sort of credit card or gift card, slowly start to smooth out the bubbles from the paper. Go very, very gently because it is wet, it will tear very easily, and just work from one end and then up towards the other end, slowly smoothing out all those bumps. Once you're fairly happy with that, just as a final measure, get some sort of rolling pin or an actual roller if you've got one, and just go over it again with the roller, just to ensure any stubborn bubbles are actually gone. And just continue along placing each piece. I did the bottom 2 pieces first, then started in the middle again, the top piece, and then the outside piece as well. And just keep following the same steps. Glue, press it out with your credit card, and then roll it on with your roller. I actually wasted my money on 2 maps prior to this one. I actually tried to glue it on in one piece, but I just found it was just I could not get rid of any of the bubbles, so I just had to flip it over and start again. And I purchased 2 new maps. These were from eBay. They were fairly cheap. I think they were like $10 each, so it was $20 for 2 maps. And what I'm showing you here is the 2 gaps on either side that I'm now going to cut this second map to fit on each side, just to make it look like it's one continuous map. So using the same method, cut your smaller piece, glue it on, and roll it in place. Now for the edges, any excess that's hanging over the edge, I've just got a piece of sandpaper on a block, and I'm just sanding that edge with the block. And don't pull it, just let the sanding action slowly start to cut away that paper. The next step I'm going to do is just to age the edges a little bit more. So I'm using an acrylic paint called Burnt Umber, I think it's called. and I'm just dabbing that brown color all along the edges just to create a more vintage look to the map and to blend in any of the edges where it hasn't quite fitted over the whole desk. As a final step, once everything is dry, go over the whole map again with the same PVA glue mix. This will help to seal the map and create a protective layer over the top to stop it getting damaged. I actually gave this about 3 coats, so I've put the first coat on, let it dry for a few hours and come back and did another 2 more coats after that as well. Now, aging the drawer handles. All I did here is I used the original handles. I just got some gold metallic acrylic paint and just dabbed the gold paint on the handles. I didn't paint them and cover them entirely. I still wanted the black showing through, but just to give them a sort of an aged bronzy look to them. And here's the finished desk. So here it is. I'm not sure what style you would call it. Is it vintage industrial looking desk? But this is going in my son's room. And I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. And these are the exact same desk. One I've done for my daughter, and this black one here that I've done today is for my son. So just showing you how you can get 2 completely different looks from the exact same desk. And this will go well in his room. He's going to have an industrial, vintage, steampunk type feel to his room. So this should fit in quite nicely. And you can see here that there's no ripples or no bubbles in the map whatsoever. It actually turned out really good. And these are the 2 desks I've done so far, side by side. If you're interested, I've linked the desk makeover from my daughter's desk in the description box below. And you can see how that one was done. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned. I still have quite a few more home decor makeovers coming up. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next one. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.